What's up, guys and gals? I'm your host Mike Pugh of the FPC Virtual Channel, and you're tuning in to a really cool tutorial for the Samsung Galaxy S8 Plus, S8, and for the Note 8. Let's get it. Alright folks, so what we're going to do today, we're going to play around with the Pro camera settings. Let's click the camera app to enter, and we're going to swipe the screen from left to right. It can be any portion of the screen. Then we're going to click the Pro icon, and that activates these options here that you see, which is ISO. This one is your shutter speed. This one is a filter. It says Vivid on the bottom. Then you have MF, which is manual focus or autofocus. Two settings. All of them can be set on auto if you chose. And then we have white balance. White balance is set currently at incandescent at 2800K, and I'll be talking a little bit about that. And then we got the plus 0.3 plus or minus, and this is the aperture value level, I believe, that is bringing in a certain amount of light and pretty much everything that I can do with the camera. So we're gonna try two different subjects. Currently I have my keys on a table. Let's bring up the keys. As you can see, it's a little blur depending on how close you get to the actual key itself. There we go, and that looks pretty good. Not much blur. The blur should be in the background. What I was doing earlier, I was playing around with the manual adjustments and autofocus. When you're on manual, you have different options available. Let's see if I could try to stabilize. I don't have an actual tripod, but it would be smart when you're using the Pro settings to have a tripod for your phone. So I highly recommend for you to go for the tripod. Now let's see what we can do. Now in the manual setting, you cannot click the screen to do anything. It doesn't do anything pretty much if you click it. But let's click the manual focus and then click here where it says auto, and I believe that that's what it says, or it says manual when it's yellow or auto when it's white. Now we can click on the screen and you see there's a little box, a little yellow box. I'm gonna click up here in the black so you can see it. See that? So when you click on a specific portion of the screen, what it's going to do is try to focus on that point. That's why we have that yellow box. Now what I did, I clicked a little bit too high and it couldn't focus, so it zoomed back. So you don't want to go click up here at the top of the screen. You want to click a little bit under the top, maybe like I would say a fraction of an inch below it. Now if you want to click an actual object itself, that's where you're able, or tap, that's where you're able to zoom in a lot more effectively. So we're clicking on the key here, now we're clicking on the mouse. If you click again on the same object, it's going to zoom back out of it. So now if you wanted to autofocus lock, like AEAF lock, what that allows you to do is an automatic focus and automatic exposure. Right now I'm in auto mode for the actual focus already, but this allows you to lock it. And in order to activate that, I'll do it again up here on the brush. In order to activate it, you have to tap the screen and hold your finger there for a few seconds, and then you'll see the AEAF lock pop up. Now this is what I used to use many years ago when I was using my iPod Touch only, because that was the only tool that I had, and I wasn't able to do too much with that because AEAF lock is just automatic focus, automatic exposure. I did capture some really decent macro photos of flowers and insects and stuff like that, but I wasn't able to do too much beyond that in terms of getting super fine details. So as you can see here, look how close I'm coming to the actual key. and you can see the fine-tuned details. Now I'm moving a little bit so it's out of focus, but if I go closer with the camera or away from it, I can get much more detail. So I'm actually moving the camera itself to try to squeeze in some detail. And if I can hold it steady, if I had a tripod, it would be awesome. So then you can see everything. So what I'm going to try to do is stabilize this to some degree. Hold it against the table maybe. And then there we go. See, so now you can see the fine-tuned detail. I'm holding it against the table, more like on a solid surface. That way I can get much better detail. So what I'm doing here, I'm moving the actual shutter itself to zoom in. I don't know why that didn't zoom in. It should have zoomed in. That was 8x zoom right there. Look at that. So in order to get that kind of adjustment, what you have to do is try, like I said, move your camera forward and backward until you get like the best quality image you can get in the dead center area, somewhere around here, right? That's the best way to actually focus and to actually work on your focus. You can consider that to be calibration. So you can calibrate the focus like that, and then work on trying to zoom in. Now your lighting will affect the actual quality of that photo. So as you can see, it's pretty nice. Now I currently have auto on, set for my shutter speed, and ISO automatically set. Right now my ISO is at A250. This is the actual image lighting sensitivity. So this is the lighting sensitivity that will be coming in, and the shutter speed is how much light is coming in within a certain span of time. So currently it's set automatically to 1/15 of a second, I believe. That's how much light is allowed to come in within that gap of time. So this works really well for low light situations as well as the ISO. So you can adjust appropriately. Now the 800, from 50 to 800 is the ISO scale. The 800 is for low light conditions. When you go on the scale from 50 towards 800, the closer you are to 800 is better for low light. So, and then for high resolution, like well lit areas, maybe you're outdoors or something and it's too much light, you can bring it down a little bit towards 100 or 50, maybe 250 for indoors. That's what I'm doing right now. My actual living room is not really well lit, so 250 is pretty decent. If your house or your living room is, or your room, bedroom, office, whatever, is well lit, then you might have to change the ISO a little bit away from what the scale that you see that I have. I have 200 to 250. It's jumping back and forth. So and for this auto 115 to 110, it was jumping from 110 to 1/8 of a second. So this gives you an idea. Now the scale adjustment for the shutter speed is 1 in 24,000 on the lower scale, and on the highest scale it's 10. So let's go to 10 and I'll show you for low light. Look how bright it is. This is 10. I'm gonna bring it down scale. As you can see, that little yellow bar is moving. I'm moving the mouse. So now you can see how that would affect your photo. Look at that. Now let's bring this down scale a little bit so you can see zoomed out, like there. Let the mouse go and it will bring you back. Then click on the actual shutter speed adjustment again, and then go for it again and see what you can do. Look at that. That's 1/4,000th, 1,000th, 500, 350, 250, 1 in 180, 190, and then I'm going up scale now. There we go. So that's pretty well lit right there. Right? Now for the background, let's look at the background. It's going to throw off the background to some degree if you go too high in brightness, because now you're getting some noise going on for the blur that you should get. So what you're gonna do is adjust that a little bit down scale like that, and then try to work on your ISO. ISO is at 250. Let's bring it up a little bit like that, and then zoom out a little further. We're already at one time zoom. So if you want to adjust a little bit better, you pull the camera out of focus and then you work on the focus. See that? Now when it all turns green with your manual focus, right now I'm adjusting. You see the yellow dot, yellow bar right here? If you go too far out of focus on the low scale, it's going to go out of focus. If you go too high, it's going to go out of focus. So you have to get a little in the midpoint. But the greener it is, the more focused you are. It tries to help you. And then you can move the camera back and forth slightly to get a good adjustment. And now when we zoom in, you should get a lot more higher quality. This is at 8 times zoom. I'm not actually up against the wood part of my desk, so just wanted to give y'all folks an idea. These are the differing adjustments you can play with, and we're gonna do some more, on this in the future. But I just wanted to show y'all folks. I'm gonna try to bring my computer outdoors so I can show you in a different lighting situation. Now these two adjustments, ISO and the actual shutter speed, works differently based on the type of lighting scenario that you have. So if you're outdoors, you go outdoors, that is definitely gonna work a lot differently, and you're gonna have to play around with your settings even more. Or you can just go and set them to auto. Right now I can't set that to auto unless I set this one to auto, which is the shutter speed. Then I can go back and set the ISO to auto because it's not adjusted appropriately. So now let's see the difference when you set it to auto. See, now that accurate setup is not the same. Your lighting is a lot different, but it still can produce a high quality photo. Now let's go into the white balance. Now the white balance, I have it set at incandescent. If you move it, hold on a second, sorry about that, to daylight, cloudy, 6500. These are the different settings. This is incandescent. You can see the difference. The color schemes are changing drastically. And I apologize for jumping up and down, but like I said, I don't have a tripod. Now this is auto. Auto seems to be the much more natural look, but if you wanted to pull off something really awesome with like lights when it's dark outside, or glow and all kinds of different effects, you can manipulate all of these settings. And you can definitely go into the filters and try to change the filter to see if you can get a different effect for your light. And then you can go into the filter, like I said, and make these tiny, smaller adjustments and get a better tint if you want to get a better tint. Temperature, change the temperature. It doesn't look that great because I have to zoom out. When I zoom out, stabilization changes. That's another thing. When you're into macro photos, holding the phone with your hand is pretty hard. So it takes a little time to play around and manipulate to get the best photo on a macro scale. So let's go back to, where was we at? These adjustments. I'm going to tap the little pencil and then play around and try to get a higher quality product out of this photo. Here we go. That's not bad. And then we can save it if we want to save that, and then we can try to capture that photo. And maybe get a bit closer. Where you can do like on the table type of shot, like that. Turn it around to the side and do something like that. See that? That's pretty good on the macro scale. Not too much noise, not too much problems, because I have all the autos set up. Let's back it up a little bit. Move it forward. You can get much better quality over time if you just try to be patient. The lighting is not that great on this one, but we can try to play around. Right now we on manual focus. Let's go to auto. Let's see what it does with auto. Alright, zooming out, zooming in. Let's back out right there. That's not bad. And then bring it down a little bit and see that photo. Now let's go back and check all of our photos. This is not too bad. Pretty decent, well defined. A little bit of noise over here. Let's back out. This one is a little slight blur, but the blur is supposed to show up back there. This is the point that I'm trying to focus on, which is here in the center. And that's all I got so far, these two photos. I got some other photos that I played with a little earlier. This wasn't too good. Right here, this was one I was working on. Great deal of time took me to get it to look better. As you can see, this one is dull, and this one is a lot more. Alright, so let's move on to another one. This is a different one that's kind of blur because I was focusing on the brush. So like I said, you could play around with those focus options where you can click and hold the AE/AF lock. This is a nice one. This one had a little bit too much light on the Toshiba area. This one wasn't as lit up, but still not a bad photo. So these are all practice shots on, differing close-ups. Here goes an idea. When you go outdoors, try to play around with flowers and see how close you can get to the flowers. This is a macro photo. This flower is somewhat small, not that large, and I enhanced the size and also enhanced the size of the actual butterfly. The original photo was a lot smaller. How I did it, I cropped it so I can show you our photo. This is some stuff I was playing with, bee photos, macros. I love capturing nature photos and definitely bees and different insects that I can find. I was inspired by some friends on a photography network many years ago, actually about 2 years ago or so, and it actually drew into me like the desire to want to try and capture the photos. And I had an actual iPod Touch back then. These are other photos that I was working on. All this is from the Samsung Galaxy S8 Plus. So just giving y'all folks ideas of what to practice on to get the best out of your photo, out of your S8 Plus camera, to see if you can actually pull off something close to professional. I think I'm getting closer and closer with this particular smartphone, and I've never really got the greatest photos ever, but I'm trying to get closer and closer to what I think would be a standout photo and a great deal of people can appreciate. Look at this. This is a really nice photo here. Blurred out the background. That's the blur effect that they have from the S8 Plus, S8, and the Note 8 as well has it. Has dual camera features, but right now I'm not using a dual camera setup or adjust setting, etc. Here goes another one, and here goes a whole bunch of the close-ups I got of that actual butterfly. This one's a little blur. Sometimes you'll get that to happen if you're not, zoomed in correctly with the phone itself, or the actual zoom lens through the camera shutter sliding forward or right to the right or backward or whatever. You have to adjust ahead of time. Definitely try to adjust on other flowers and then move into your target. This is the one that y'all folks saw earlier, the first butterfly photo, and I actually cropped it, and that's how it turned out to look a lot better. This one isn't really considered a macro photo, but I turned it macro by cropping, which is a technique that one of my friends taught me. Here we go, the zooming effect on this cutie, one of our cats. She's the mom. This is the little pup or kitty, the little kitten. MJ and Midnight Jr. is his actual name, his nickname. So it's focused right now on her and blurred out on him, and then blurred out on her and focused on him. Pretty cool, right? I don't know how they decided to sit like that, but they are definitely some awesome, cute characters. Some of the best shots I've caught with the actual S8 Plus so far. And other than that, see, she's focused on, and then he's blurred, and then he's in focus, and then she's blurred. There we go. So this gives you an idea of the different kind of photos you can come up with playing around with your manual focus if you want, or leaving all on the manual focus set on auto, and it should automatically pull in some good photos. This is what I used to catch, stuff like this where everything looks blurry. That was when I was first starting out, and I used it was an actual, what do they call it? Forgot the name of it, man. It was a Toshiba X400 camcorder. Actually, that's what I had. Look at this blur. I was getting blurry shots like that on the regular camera setting. And this one is not too bad either. This is pretty nice. A little bit like drawn at a distance. He's blurred out, she's focused, stuff like that. And then I was pulling off this type of thing. I'll show y'all folks in the next tutorial on how to do edits using more of that actual feature I showed you. This is the filter, the differing filters that they have on the Pro setting. You can adjust the filters and really bring in some great lighting with background lights, coming through. This is a background light from my Samsung computer screen, and then this is from my computer, the Asus gaming computer that I have. Really awesome lighting that's making this effect. And then I have a light above, a basic living room light, stand-up light that I put up in the living room. And that's just the best effects that I was able to pull off so far with my Samsung Galaxy S8 Plus. This is probably one of the best photos, close-ups on the actual mouse, playing with different settings. And I like the dark contrast I put on the actual wood of the desk. So just wanted y'all folks to see what you can do. This is the beginning when I first started, and how dull it actually looks without having that adjustment in that setting. And this is one setting I did without that filter as well, and it's bright, still looks nasty. Other than that, that's all I got. I'm out of here. I got to go pick up my delivery for Uber Eats, and hopefully y'all folks can have an awesome day and enjoy capturing photos with your Samsung Galaxy S. Galaxy S8 Plus or Note 8 if you have made those purchases. And that's all I got. Peace. Mike Pugh, signing off. Thanks a lot, guys and gals, for checking out my tutorial on the Galaxy S8 Plus, the Galaxy S8 and Galaxy Note 8. If y'all folks would like to check out more of my videos, you can check over there, and you can tune into the previous one or the upcoming one that I'm soon to launch. You can also click up there, somewhere up there on that circle, to subscribe, to stay tuned on my latest videos that I have to launch. And that's all I got.